Cindy Mangini, Charlotte Riley,
Here.
Wendy Costa,
Here.
Tim Neville,
Here.
Scott Ryder,
Here.
Doug Maxellen, Bethany Olet,
Here.
Marie Peisner, Tina LeBlanc,
Here.
Melissa Everett,
Here till 6:30.
Jeff Leonowitz,
We'll put them before that.
and Chris Cycli,
Here.
and Jaime Cisneros.
And we also have Tom Hubbard from,
Yep, I
Hibbard and
wrote
Rose.
down Tom Hibbard.
okay, I'm sorry, I'm spacing out here. Okay. All right. All set. Can I have a motion for approval of the minutes for May 28th?
So moved.
Second.
Tim.
Tim, and seconded by, is that Walter who seconded?
Charlotte, was that you? I thought I heard you.
Yeah, it was me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do you have any clarifications? I know Tina had, a comment that there was a slide missing in the presentation.
Yeah, and it was still missing when we received it in the email. So I made a note of that in the minutes. I don't know if anybody saw that.
And Jeff's gonna talk to John FBL on that. And I guess for me, it was more of a clarification. Again, when you talk to John, when he did the social services moving to Elkhorn, did he in the presentation mention that the Elkhorn Resource Center would then become available for sale or reuse?
If that was the 110 High Street, I believe that was the intent to have that available for the marketplace.
Okay, then we need to add that to the minutes because it's not in the minutes. I don't believe, unless it's in a different spot.
I can check back.
Okay. Any other comments, questions, or concerns on the minutes? Can I take a motion to approve, want to vote on that? Just to show hands and we'll look at all the screens. We have anybody opposed? All in favor? No opposition? No abstaining? Okay. No special guests tonight. Old business. Henry Barnard, partial roof replacement, phase 1, the last payment, still no word. Chris?
Phase 1, yeah, no word. No change
Okay.
in phase 1 or phase 2, not yet.
Okay. What about phase 3? Can we get a brief update of what's been happening over the past 2 weeks?
Sure. So last night, I was able to upload the grant application. We did receive the approval from Bill Turley at Demas with the security information. So that grant was resubmitted yesterday. The state is aware that we are trying to complete this roof still this summer. So with any luck, we should hear back from them in a week or so with our steps to be able to move forward. So Tom, you and I will have to figure out, next steps to get ready to go into the state.
Okay, because is there any things that need to be voted on by the council?
Not by the council, no. We'll need building committee and board of ed for the drawings.
Okay.
Once we get a project number, we can't do that yet until we have a project number. So we need to wait for the state for that.
Okay,
I have a quick question.
go ahead, Scott.
Is there anything at this point that we're still waiting on reimbursement for?
We are, so the phase 1 and phase 2, we're waiting for the 11%. Phase 3 obviously hasn't started yet, so we're out on that. We're
Okay,
not-
so we've gotten the first payment, then you said on phase 2.
I'm
don't-
working on the payment for phase 2, yes.
Okay, so we've received only one payment so far, Scott, and that's
Right.
been the,
Right, the payment for phase 2 is close, I just don't have an exact.
right,
Gotcha.
okay. Okay, so we need the building committee and the funding for the
No.
council to vote on?
No, that's already been done, because we already
Okay.
submitted it back in March. We need the
Okay.
building committee and the Board of Ed to vote on the drawings.
To
Once
vote on
we
the
get-
drawings, okay,
Once we get the grant approval letter,
okay.
which I should have by the end of June, I'm told. If
okay.
not, the next week and a half.
Okay, so when you do get that, Chris, we could have a special meeting and we could do it even electronically and get that so that we can move forward to,
Right.
because our next meeting is not till the 25th
Of
So-
what?
June.
June.
Oh, yeah, I don't know that we'll make that one. We'll probably have to have a special meeting in early July. I know that we're tentatively talking about a Board of Ed meeting on the 7th for JFK for the furniture and technology.
Mhm.
So I might be able to catch that meeting on the 7th as well for the Board of Ed for the Barnard roof, but I'm not sure yet.
Okay, well, whatever you need, we'll try to accommodate you. I will be out of the state the 29th through the 14th of July, 29th of June to the 14th of July, but now that we're all doing everything electronically, we can get everything done we need to get done right from our telephone. Okay, great. Thanks, Chris. You know, I really
Right.
appreciate all the work and everything that went into getting that squared away. And I think that'll help us with all the rest of our grant applications as we move forward. I think it was an important thing to have to be done.
I hope so. You're welcome.
Okay, thanks. Tom, you got anything you want to tell us about the last phase of the roof? Yep, you're muted.
You're muted.
Unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Right. Yep, we can hear you now.
The drawings and documents are complete, and as soon as we get a project number, we are ready to run it through approval and not, move on it. We're ready to go.
Okay. Right. And Jeff, we're gonna be doing
we
that
have-
chimney
We have
as
everything
well.
still from,
Jeff, you out there? We're gonna do the
Oh,
chimney as well.
Yeah, so the chimney is included, and Tom and I looked at that probably back in January, early February. And then the penthouse, that little piece of steel roof, we got the information on that, and I think that's going to be addressed in this plan too. So that should be that whole area should be up to snuff, and we should be good to go.
Good. So if we can get everything, we're gonna have one school done, everything on the roof, soup to nuts. We're not gonna have anything up there that we want to go up there and address, correct?
right.
Great,
Yeah,
thank you.
those two pieces are part of this grant.
Right. We don't get reimbursed for the chimney, but we have found the best way to do it. We're gonna move forward. Thank you. Great. Thanks. Thank you, everybody, for your hard work. Okay, roof management plan. Jeff, do we have anything that you want to change or warn us about or keep us in the loop on?
So far, for what we've been discussing with the roofs, the schools, the way they are, I would just keep them the same. No major movement on that, or the way to attack on a municipal side, depending on, how the committee would like to approach a referendum. But I would start looking at the PD and getting those shingles and whatnot addressed in the sooner term than the latter.
Okay,
And that would be part of the referendum as a possible plan of how we'd like to pursue with reimbursement money. using that to, capitalize on other municipal roofs that wouldn't necessarily be covered, or other strategies through CIP and next year's funding.
Okay. Do you at this point want to share the debt service?
Yeah, absolutely. So bear with me here. This is the first time I've tried sharing my screen. So let me
Okay.
see if I can do this right. Share. Share that one. Share that. Okay, can you see the,
Yes.
okay, perfect. So see if I can shrink it a little bit.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. There we go. So this is the projected, is that too small?
Nope.
Is it still on there?
That is.
No, it's not there.
Oh, no, hold on, pardon me.
That's okay. There we
First time
go.
I've had to share something on Windstream, so it's a little different than Teams, but kind of close. So this is the debt services that, John Wilcox, got for us. So this kind of shows what, with JFK, the high school, and all of roofs. Let me see, this is proposed debt services. Oh no, it's freezing on me here. I am so sorry, everyone.
There it is.
There we go. So the roads and the roof. So this shows what the far side, the left side shows everything that's, in queue right now with the high school and JFK. And then with the roads and roofs referendum at the revised amount of $10 million, what the total would be. So I believe everyone on leadership saw something a little similar without high school and JFK spelled out. But this just shows everything with what's going on currently and, a potential two referendums coming up for this fall. It doesn't change too much. I think we were talking about the last time I was reviewing this with the committee. It's about 12.75 points lower than where we were before with the $15 million, because it's just that $5 million change. But this would be the projected totals. I believe I sent this out to Deputy Mayor Suzak earlier this morning, and if anybody had a problem getting it, I'd be happy to resend it out to the committee for review.
Yeah, I didn't share it yet because I wanted you to explain it, I guess, because this $10 million roof referendum, does that have the reimbursement consideration in there, or is that 10 million to be spent on roofs?
I don't know yet. I got this, I got it as soon as I sent it to you, and I've been trying to, so I'm gonna get some clarification from John Wilcox to see if that's with the reimbursement being put back in for debt services or not. That's the one unknown I don't have.
Right, and that's why I did not share it, because I didn't want to disseminate something until we've asked all our questions and all the questions get answered.
Yeah, I'll make sure I get an answer for the committee on that.
Okay. Because this is something that has to be clear when we go to have the public hearing. Should the council consider going to referendum in the fall? So I'm going to open it up now to questions that we need to have answered on debt service before we send anything forward. And I'm going to start with Tim.
Nothing at this time.
Walter,
I'm good, thank you.
Wendy,
Yeah, I just want to make sure I understand this chart. So the first column would be the payment stream for current outstanding debt, not counting the high school and JFK.
correct.
And then the high school and JFK are already committed. So that first gray column is going to be the payment stream for all those projects. And then the additional, do we have any idea what the total looked like, say, for the last 2 or 3 years?
So
we reach a maximum of 12.8 million in 2030, assuming we don't, 2030, assuming we don't do any other projects, which is probably a good possibility. What has traditionally been what we've spent?
I could look for clarification on that. Try to answer the question with that very first gray column, that is on the books known existing. And then the
Yep.
last gray column on the right side would be what the additional 2 referendums would do.
Correct.
There is a magic number that the Director of Finance understands better than myself, where debt services tries to track around. And I can look to see what that is for you and how that comes on and off the books. That's an accounting magic that a facilities person like myself doesn't quite always understand. So I'll defer to John Wilcox and try to get some better information for you.
And Donna, aren't there also other things that fall into this debt service category, like the purchase of major equipment for DPW, or things that we've been sort of, or are those leasing costs or whatever in our operating costs and not in debt?
I think those leasing costs are in the operating costs on
okay,
a
thank you.
yearly basis, and they're not, these are our bonded numbers.
Right. I was just wondering what the likelihood is, other than roads and roofs, what the likelihood is of there being another need to bond in the near future.
Well, we look like the master plan, Wendy, and I hate to tell you this, but that would require bonding to,
Yep, okay.
referendums and bonding. I know for, a long period of time, we tried to be a pay-as-you-go.
Yeah.
And pay-as-you-go is really difficult right now because, as we all see, our limits of what we can spend per project have not grown with what the costs of projects are to do. So I guess with that being said, and I guess for me, I'd like to know, as Wendy's asked, what does this mean as far as mill rate to our constituents? Because these are a lot of big numbers, and I, like Jeff, get lost in the weeds on these. So, okay, so next person is Tina. Tina, question?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Scott?
Yes, no, I was just gonna say, looking at this chart, to Wendy's point, some of that is already included in the outstanding debt as of August 2019. So
Right.
that's where the number starts from. Then you add the high school and JFK and we get that first gray column. So, but yeah, anything we add to this is just gonna add to the numbers. But I think the roofs, if we don't do it, it's just gonna cause more issues down the road, so.
It doesn't go away if we don't do it.
Oh,
Scott, you all set?
Yes.
Charlotte?
I guess my only question is, has our debt ever been up in that 13 million before, ever? Have we ever been there as a town before yet?
I guess for me, that's a difficult question to ask or answer properly because of construction cost inflations and things like that. And the fact that for me, I don't know, for me, it's almost like a perfect storm of the age of our buildings and needs that we have to address. So I think to look at a raw number like that doesn't give us perspective, but it's a question that we have to ask.
And then how it reflects on our bond rating, I guess, too.
Well, that reflects on our bond rating, but what also that it's like the elephant in the room, what also reflects on your bond rating is the condition of your buildings and your infrastructure. So they're gonna tag you on it one way or another. We either put it on the thing and enumerate it out, or we let them have at it and figure out what it is on their own. So I guess that's for me how I have to balance that. Any more questions?
Oh, that's good.
Gina? Gina, you out there?
I'm here. Nothing for me right now. Maybe in a little while.
Okay. Melissa?
I'm good, thank you.
Jaime?
I'm okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to turn it back over to Jeff.
All right. Would you like me to stop sharing this particular screen?
Yeah, you can stop sharing.
right.
Yeah, I guess we have some questions for John, and then once we get all our questions answered, we're going to send that chart out to. Oh, wait a second, we didn't get Bethany.
Oh.
I'm all set, thank you.
And we had nobody else join us. Okay, great.
Yeah, I
So
took a
if we-
list of the questions that everyone had, and I will send out an email after tonight's meeting to Donald and John, so they're all on the same page. I know I got this hot off the presses this morning or late last night, so this is all very new information. I wanted to get it out to the committee to try to get. I know they asked a couple weeks ago, so.
Yeah, you
give
know what
them
else? I
something.
think, as you're talking, Jeff, I'm thinking of one more question, and that's
Sure.
the debt service for the outstanding debt. That includes that $60 million roads referendum that we passed for,
That, yes, that should be in the existing, he's not enumerating that. I think the two, because the committee asked about when the high school came off of debt services, and it's looking like 2039. That drops off, and then, you know, you can see where JFK pulls in. There's like a 5-6 year lag on, you know, and again, I don't claim to understand how the bonds kind of move through, but there's a lead and a lag from when you issue and then they start to hit the books, I guess, in a different way. And, you know, I can ask for John to look at, you know, the mill rate, because I think that might be a number, especially if this was to go to referendum. Is that
right, because I
microphone
think
echoing?
the existing is just the roads. And the other thing is there's going to be debt service that our people are going to be paying also for the water pollution control. And that will be in a totally different budget.
Mhm.
So we have a lot of things going. Anything more on the
Donna, I
roads?
have a question.
Okay, go ahead, Walter.
Donna, I have a. Does
Go
that
ahead.
include the?
Walter, we lost you.
Are you there?
Yeah, yes, we are. Are you there?
Okay. Does that include the 10 elementary schools, the gyms?
Oh, those we paid off a long time ago.
Those are all paid off?
Those aren't
Okay.
on our debt anymore.
So,
Okay, so you're like Nathan,
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
even like Nathan Hale, which was on a couple of years ago, that's done?
It's still on the state's debt service, but it's not on ours. We,
Oh,
we,
okay, gotcha.
yeah, we did a consolidation. I don't know when it was done, but I believe that our side of that bond was paid. It's just the state doesn't do like we do. We'll accumulate some bonds and we'll reissue them or resell them or I don't know, realign them if we can get a better rate. Just like when you remortgage your
enough.
house.
Yeah, I remember that there was like a bond sale or something that they had.
Right, that's right. And that's what we do. So, but the state just bonds it, and the state bonds it according to how much how big it is. I don't know if they do anything. They just say, if it's over $1 million, it's going to be funded it's going to be 20 years. If it's under 4 million, it's 10 years. And it was just a simple number like that for Hale. Okay.
Okay, I'm good.
Good question, Walter. Any more questions? You guys are all like staring at me. I don't know if I like these meetings. They get in a complex. Okay, E is been tabled. F is performance contract, and we won't have new information until June 30th.
That's correct.
Anything you want to say about anything, Jeff?
we're starting to see, some soft numbers from this COVID experience from not running some things. I was kind of looking through some of the bills and kind of noticing, wow. It's an unfortunate event, but just kind of, you kind of forget how much you're paying for power, it's kind of like one of those wowies.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping this is coming to an end very shortly so we can get back to normal.
But we're all hoping for that. So, all right, clean energy. We had the Green Bank presentation, and actually, Melissa and I received an email from Kasha that she's going to ask Green Bank to present to the council. And I guess, Melissa, you want to talk a little bit about this because this was your request?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, just that, I'm going to suggest that Kasha ask them to do a little more background. And maybe you could work with her and me just to make sure that the council, like, it's really framed for them, because we've had a bunch of introductory conversations here leading up to that. And I think it's great that she's doing that. I would like to just know the date so that I can be there, and I hope a bunch of us, besides those of you who have to be there, will want to. The other thing I wanted to just ask was, I shared around a bunch of resources on, solar in general and solar on landfills and solar carports and this and that. I wondered if anybody had a chance to look at that stuff, if it was useful, or if there's anything else that you would like me to be kind of providing for you guys to get, climb the learning curve in your copious free time. A simple glassy-eyed.
Tim's got something.
Yeah, I was curious, but I thought the stuff was good, and I know the reason why we don't go with setting it off the ground and all that stuff. There's a whole bunch of other issues that you have to deal with. And putting it on top of a roof is good, but I was concerned when she brought up the issue of only getting putting enough panels up to get 75% of your solar, your needs. It would seem that the real money comes in when you start bringing in a lot more kilowatt hours, particularly during the summer. 75%. I have it on my house, and I have 104%.
Yeah, I think we should talk about that with them, because I think that there may be like rules about the capacity and the net metering like within their program, but it may be something for us to consider in whether we go with their program.
Agreed. The second thing is, and the last thing on this one is, if we're going to have them present a package to the council, I was wondering whether we could see that package first, because, and Scott may dip on his water on this one too. We need to make sure the message is getting through to them, the one that we want to get. And I think if they're going to do this and we're not going to be part of that before they go there, I think it would be better to have us be a part of it and give some feedback. Just my thoughts.
Yeah, I know. I think that's a great thing. I think the more we can be involved and use it to kind of get up to speed as a group, that will be really great. And, Donna, can you get from Kasha a sense of when she wants to do that?
I can. And I was getting a sense that it was more of an introduction to the council as to what Green Bank is and how they function, and then would they be supportive of kicking it back to facilities to look at some places that Green Bank could consider. That was what I was garnishing from that, because on the council, only us who saw the Green Bank presentation know what Green Bank is.
Yeah. Right. It may be that we want to suggest a panel and have, I'm sorry if there's background noise, it's a little obnoxious, but we could have people from any of our neighboring towns who have done big solar installs. We could craft something that kind of maps out alternatives so that it's not like, solar equals Green Bank.
Correct. Yes. But I think we need to look at, we've looked at a couple of other ones. I mean, a number of them, other councilors would tell you, have come to us with solar, plans.
Contractors have.
you know, some have moved forward and some have moved forward in a different direction than we had anticipated. So, you know, we are familiar with a lot of things. I think the Green Bank is something that, you know, it's quasi-public rather than private, that we really haven't seen something like that. So I think that's what she was thinking. So. And also, you know, we really kind of got a little waylaid of not being able to visit any, you know, solar installations or anything like that. I just saw one went up on Route 95 in Westbrook.
I mean, we should, you know, as things reopen, you know, revisit the option to go out to Woodstock or go to Stafford. But, you know, I think that, I mean, Tim knows a lot, and a number of you know a lot, that maybe we should be putting together for ourselves, you know, kind of a decision framework, because we've talked before about, you know, own versus power purchase agreement. We've talked about the different buildings that could be candidates. The Green Bank can help us assess, but we can also do some of that internally. So I'm thinking, regardless of what goes to the council right now, it would be good for us to be sort of like preparing a path forward that really like addresses the decision methodically. You know, how can solar be integrated into our facilities plan? Who has bandwidth to think with me a little bit more about that, and maybe we can bring something to, you know, the next meeting of this committee and just keep bringing a little at a time.
Get any people?
Tim, thank
Tim?
you. I knew you were there.
Yeah, I'll be happy to join you.
Okay, and Jeff, a little bit, be a resource? That was a yes.
I don't know what's going on with my computer, but so yeah, I'd be more than happy to give you a hand if you need some information.
Yeah, okay. All right, I'll email you guys. I mean, just a little think group, map out a little bit of how to make, you know, how to consider all the options in a cogent way. Thank you for having time for this.
Okay, thanks, Melissa. Okay, next on Joint Facilities Committee Communications, Scott.
We don't have anything specific to say just yet. That's part of what Melissa's addressing as far as a plan. As of now, we're using our Facebook platform to just reiterate things that we're seeing from the town manager or from the school district at this point. But nothing related to any specific projects that we're working on, because it seems like we're still kind of in the works on some things as far as consolidation, the annex, you know, transfer station, all that stuff. So.
Donna?
Yeah, well, the transfer station has to, you know, we said last meeting that we're going to send that to DPW. The design is, the money's in the budget. The design needs to be done, and it then needs to go to council for final funding. And in the meantime, we can all keep looking in the budget for, you know, $50,000 here and $75,000 there. And before you know it, we might have a couple of $100,000. So, you know, I would really love to at least see water and proper, you know, a septic system put in there and a new trailer. But, you know, I mean, that's my minimum that I really, really want to see, but we'll see what we can actually do. Okay. All right, new business, the BL master plan. Do you have a budget update on the contract, or should we do that in executive session, Jeff?
I don't have an update on the budget. I'm pulling their invoices and we'll see what they have left to go. We changed the Munis system, so I'm learning how TCM works with the new Munis.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I'm going to open it up for discussion for, you know, we discussed it, you know, last week, but now you've had a week or 2 weeks to digest what we saw. And I'm just looking for, you know, questions, concerns, comments on what we were presented by BL. And I'm open for how you feel we can accomplish this in a virtual environment. You want to just go around to each person?
Sure.
Whatever you want. I mean, I have a couple of comments, but you can go around. the
Okay,
room.
we're going to start with Gina.
Oh, fantastic. I mean, honestly, I'm just going to reiterate what I said last time. I like parts of the consolidation plan and what BL presented, but I still truly believe that in the COVID-19 and the post-COVID-19 world that we live in, this consolidation plan has just, it's going to have to be really re-looked at. We're not going to, I think we really need to think long and hard or pump the brakes on getting rid of or even talking about getting rid of some of these buildings. I know it's a long way away. I think really we need to really focus on the transfer station because that can only help. I think that DPW, the Jablonski, we have got to work on that. I think everything else right now kind of should just wait in the wings. That's just my opinion.
What about the, I guess for me, what about the Alcorn? And because that
honestly,
building-
I think Alcorn was, I think that was shot down by a lot of people anyway. I don't know that that's a good idea. I think the Board of Education can speak better to that, but I think that they pretty much utilize that, and IT utilizes a lot of that building. And maybe there's not enough people per se to fill all those rooms, but the equipment fills those rooms. That's
Okay.
my understanding. But
And of course, now we have the
Board of Ed.
Santander Bank, which we, comes into the equation. All right, so we started with Gina. Melissa, you have any comments?
I thought it was basically cogent. I agree with Gina about the post-COVID caution, and I've been shoulder deep in studies about like reallocating space for commercial stuff, but I can probably maybe find some sources of guidance for us.
Jaime, did you get a chance to look at it and have any comments?
No, I don't have any comments for now.
Okay. Bethany?
I would agree that I think the transfer station and the DPW would be priorities right now. I think there's some options for social services if we felt, I know I talked about Alcorn and like you said, the Santander Bank. But I think right now DPW and transfer are definitely at the top of the list.
Thank you. Tim?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with the Jablonski and the town dump. I think they, for several reasons, they need to be dealt with. Okay, I think it's an easy way to get the property back on Pearl Street and get it on the market and get some taxes out of it. I also think the Jablonski Center just needs to consolidate and make efficient what isn't now, and at not too great a cost. It's got to be done one way or the other. I think in terms of the transfer station as well, we're going to get caught because one of those guys is going to file a complaint. It's going to go to a lawsuit, and that's going to cost more than whatever it costs to put a couple of scales in there and a new trailer and water and stuff like that. So I just think it's a liability that needs to be addressed. I like what they talked about with Fermi. I'd like to see it fleshed out even more, but getting the concept out there, I think, is important. We got to get people thinking about this. I understand the COVID stuff. That's a long discussion. It depends on a lot of things, but it doesn't mean we stop thinking and trying to get the idea out there, because frankly, I talked to a couple of people last night. They're getting ahead of us in terms of things like the Lamagna Center and the Santander stuff, and especially because of the article in the JI last night, and they're wondering whether we're hiding something. Okay, what's going on here? And they called me because of the joint facility stuff. And I sent out the minutes and stuff like that, which is public record, and let them know that these meetings go on, they're open, and they can see it on YouTube. But I think we have to be careful and get ahead of this if we're going to do this. I think we also have to educate people about what we're doing, what we're talking about. And I'd like to see us continue that discussion.
All right. Walter? Walter?
There, I got it. I was trying to unmute. And also, we got the fuel tanks. That's got to be a priority too, because I think one is due to be replaced, isn't it?
I think they're gonna,
Yes.
I think they're gonna be replaced long before we can do anything.
Yeah. So we got to work on that, and also like Tim said, the transfer station, and Gina said that the Jablonski Center. It only makes sense to consolidate them all under one roof. So.
Right, yep. Wendy?
Sorry, takes me time to find unmute. So I pretty much agree. I do think we need to do something at the transfer station. I think it makes perfect sense to go ahead and at least try and plan consolidation of DPW. I kind of want to go along with something Tim said about the whole Santander thing. I myself read the article and said, I don't think we're in sync with ourselves. But I do think all of these need to present it in an overall plan. I agree with Gina that right now with COVID, we have no idea. We may well need some of the space that we're talking about not needing with however we're going to operate going forward. But I think it needs to be presented with at least this is the concept. And obviously COVID-19 but by the time we do anything, we're going to know, I think, what the impacts of COVID-19 are going to be on our space needs anyway. But I do think it needs to be presented in an overall plan and strategy around buildings that could change based upon COVID-19. But I would think we would know that before we moved ahead with much of anything anyway.
Right. Okay. Tina?
In some ways, I feel that BL doesn't always get our vision for what we want. I think I have a vision of how I'd like things to look, and some of you have a vision of how you would like to see things look. And he always goes back to Alcorn and the annex. I know COVID-19 is a concern for what kind of building space we're going to need. Tim, could you clarify on Alcorn? Because you were on the board when we made that move from Henry Barnard over to Alcorn. I like the Board of Ed there. I think to move them and the IT department would be a lot. Could you clarify?
I didn't see that he was moving, they were moving the IT department.
No,
or
he
the
was
Board of
bringing
Ed.
in social services.
Yeah,
He was, I don't think they were gonna move the board. I don't think the board would move, to be honest with you. I don't
yeah,
think
that
that's
was
the-
not, yeah.
Okay, and as far as the transfer station and Jablonski, I'm in agreement with pretty much what everybody else feels on that.
Okay. Scott?
If we're ranking where we feel the needs are, I still think the transfer station is key. Like Tim said, if we have workers there, and that's the smaller project, and I think we could tackle first. I think I would say transfer station first, then the consolidation at Jablonski Center, and then figure out a plan for the annex.
Okay. What about the town hall? Nobody's mentioned basically they didn't say much about the town hall, but they did recommend that storage be taken out of that third floor and moved over to the annex. Those are kind of things that, I don't know, I wish we would look at a little bit more. Charlotte, what do you have for us?
I'm in agreement, of order of magnitude. It's gonna be the transfer station and then Jablonski with consolidation of that. I thought that they did better this time with what they presented for the annex.
Yes.
So that was promising that they kind of understood better where we're going with that. I guess, I'm not thoroughly 100% satisfied with everything, but I thought the ideas were going in a good direction. And then I was thinking, and I don't know, because when Fermi got closed, I wasn't here for the only part of the discussion for that. So I mean, have we asked any of the local businesses that are already in town, like the big ones, like Win Stanley or Hallmark at the time, but they're gone, or Lego and stuff, like if they were interested in using that building for offices or whatever? Have we ever asked them that?
No.
No.
No,
Just
you
like-
know what, I can't answer
Sure.
that. I don't know what our, economic development people have done. That's something that, has always been an unknown in this committee, is what is economic development doing?
Yeah.
So there would be some coordination.
Okay.
But we're still at the concept level with that. I think
Right.
that's a step down the road a little bit. They want to see how we felt about it. I'd like to see more of it, but I think it's a
Yeah.
concept.
Well, we
conceptual
actually had
step.
somebody come from what, Fuss and O'Neill? That said that they had clients that were interested in, the full-scale purchase of the building. So, it's a big size building. It's a building that apparently some people feel has some sort of market value.
Yeah.
But
Because the only thing that worried about me with the presentation is that no matter what happens, it's going to need a lot of work and it's going to
Yeah.
equate to a lot of money. So
Takes a
for
lot of
you
money to
spending
run.
that much money, part of it should, have a return on that investment, I would hope,
Correct.
eventually. So, but those are my 2 cents.
All right, thank you. I have a question for Jeff. How did the pool rehabilitation go at the annex?
Actually, it went very well. We were planning a big unveiling. I was speaking with Donald to do something with everyone, kind of have the manager, because our I take a lot of pride in what Buildings and Grounds did. They worked so hard along with the contractor to nail that, and it looks gorgeous. We're getting the last of the doors put in. Those had a way longer lead time, those special fire doors in there, but that's the icing on the cake. It's painted, it's power washed, all done with our own labor. The only thing we did not do internally was the actual filtration system. But our fine folks over at B&G and Custodial Services really hit it out of the park on this one. It looks unbelievable. New lighting, the whole thing. So I'm very excited that, once this is over, the pool's ready to swim in right now. I mean, I can't wait to have people come see it, because I'm very proud of the work our staff put into it. And it looks gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So very well. Thank you, Donna, for asking. It's not too often people.
And I guess that went, I don't know if it went through this committee or it went through Leisure for its
Leisure.
approval forward. And
think.
it's something that kind of fell off everybody's radar as we
We
moved.
finished and this whole thing just kind of happened, and it was kind of a shame. But once we get back to some sort of normal, I would like to do some sort of kind of, something, because I think it's something, it was a very big project for a lot of internal work. So I'm very proud of what our people have done.
All right, thank you. Thank you for sharing, Jeff. On the whole BL, for me, I want to see if there's any money left in the budget that we had where we're given to do this, and see if we can get one more pass at, some of these buildings to get a little bit firmer plan. But I think that Jablonski was very well vetted. And I really think that section is worth sharing with the council at this point. I think that we want maybe one more pass at some of the rest of the buildings with some of the comments from the committee. And then I think we need to bring to the council everything that we've done, and we need to bring to the council the concerns that we have about, what's going to happen when we move forward, in this new environment. Are we going to have enough space? And, what do they want to do? So one thing that we can say in this committee, that no matter what, you got to fix the infrastructure that you have right now.
Right.
And it's still all our work with roofs, and then we're going to go on to windows, and everything else still has to be done, because whether we need the same amount of buildings, less buildings, or more buildings, we still need buildings that are in good condition. And I think that everybody needs to understand that. And I think that, you know, that is a burden to do all these referendums and to get everything that the way we need it. So the work is never done here on this facilities to keep them up to what they need to be. So for roofs, do we want to vote on a formal recommendation to the council from facilities, or do we just want to pass it through as facilities would like to see this for roofs?
I would
think
say
either way, it should go.
I'd
to
formalize it.
council.
Yeah.
Correct. All right, then can I get a motion? Because I think this committee would like to see a roof referendum in the fall.
I
So can
would.
get a motion to formally request that the council give due consideration to a roof referendum that we
So moved.
we will back it, we will campaign for it, and we will do whatever we have to do, just like we did for JFK.
Second.
All in favor? Show of hands.
Yes.
You have any nays, any abstentions? Okay, so all in favor, and that's, I will get that on the agenda as something, I will bring it, I guess, in my report that we took a formal vote on this committee and we would like to have a roof referendum in the fall. Personally,
And
I'd
that-
like a roads one myself, but
And that
we
we
gotta-
unanimously requested that you bring it to the town council.
yeah. And we unanimously requested that we, yep,
Donna?
yep. Tim?
I think I agree wholeheartedly with that, and I think we should make a big deal of it, but I also think you should put together some kind of a subcommittee, whoever it is, to put that package together. We're gonna get one shot before the council to talk to them and before the public at that point. We need to have a really cogent, clear, well-articulated presentation on the
Well, I
benefits.
think that's what
costs,
Jeff has, hopefully.
Okay, I can hardly wait. That'd be great. But we need to see
Yep,
it before
yep.
we meet Tom.
Yes.
Yeah, and I would just say, I think it's worth really eyeballing and strategizing, because it's not just about the buildings, it's about the narrative.
Yes,
And that's what the pack will be about.
we have to give them, so I have to give the PAC something to deal with. I think
Right.
that should come from this committee. Just my 2 cents.
Well, this committee can't do it. This committee needs to have members leave and form a pack and
I understand.
I mean, that's what we did. Scott can chime in on, because he did a lot of the work on what happened with JFK. But that's what has to happen if it's going to pass.
Okay.
Yeah, basically, this committee can make a recommendation and a PAC can be formed outside of the committee. And then once it officially goes to ballot in September X, then our involvement at that point ceases. So that's why it's important that we get non-elected officials, you know, like Doug and Melissa, you know, behind something like this, because they'll have to run with that baton once it officially reaches a ballot.
Yeah, but isn't the process that it also has to go to the council first for their approval to even entertain?
We have to
this
have a
motion?
public hearing and then we have to vote on it by the first week of September. So tentatively, we can have a public hearing in August, which is what we've normally done. And then the vote is taken, usually the first meeting in September. And that would send it to referendum in November.
Okay.
So
But I mean, I
that's
think
what
in the,
I'm asking for and keep working towards it.
yeah,
So
could we try to get 10 minutes per meeting or even 5 minutes per meeting about communication strategy? Because there are things we want to do in advance of that public hearing, just around
Right.
getting press, getting champions in the community and stuff.
we can, we have like, what, two meetings before it would go to public hearing. So,
Yeah, I mean, so even like maybe next meeting, put it on the agenda for like
Okay,
10 or 15, so we can really hash it out.
yep,
Thank you.
I'm gonna put it as a subcategory under communications.
That's good.
Okay. All right, do we have any other comments or from the committee?
Yeah, can I just ask, I mean, where, we all pretty much unanimously, or it sounds like pretty unanimously, want to deal with the transfer station. Where do we stand on getting the money to be able to start whatever design or whatever study or whatever it is that we're going to be able to start? Because I don't want to put that, I don't want to keep putting that on the back burner. I want to do that now.
Okay, I'm sorry, Gina, I was writing and not really paying attention. Could you repeat?
No, I said, where do we stand with the transfer station? It sounds like we're relatively or fully unanimous that we want to get that ball rolling. So where do we stand on getting the money to be able to at least, you know, start drawings or whatever it is that we need to do that you guys didn't do prior to me coming on to this committee? Because I don't want to keep pushing that off. I want.
There's $37,000 in the budget, and that is to take the schematic design that we had presented from, there was the 2014, I guess, dusted off and came before us. There's $37,000 in there to take it from schematic design to contract documents, and then it can go out to bid. So that money is in the budget.
Right, but we can't even touch that and do that until we have money in the budget to actually do the work, because we're not going to send it out to bid if we can't do the work.
Well, the thing is you don't know how much money you need in the budget until you actually do the final design. So that now has to go to the DPW subcommittee.
Okay, so that's where we are.
That's where we are. I've asked for it to be on the agenda when next time DPW meets.
So
I don't have control over that committee. I just keep asking.
So
Yeah,
Donna,
me neither.
Again from the floor. We will ask again from the floor that be in consideration. You know, and again,
Who's on
there's
that subcommittee?
different
Besides
monies in
Joey?
CIP.
Who's in that subcommittee?
It's me, Cindy, and Joey Bosco.
Okay. All right, well, you should be able to get it on the agenda then.
We should, yes.
Good.
So we just got to get the meeting formed, and I just, you know, we haven't passed the trash ordinance yet. And, you know, DPW needs to talk about the roads referendum just as much as we do, because I think we're all in favor of it, because we see what happens when we don't progressively do things on a, for lack of better terms, as an annual basis of addressing everything that needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any more comments, concerns?
I have a question, Donna.
Go ahead, Charlotte.
So this is going to be kind of a rookie-ish question, but I mean, I want to get the transfer station done. And so we have an amazing buildings and grounds people. We have a wood shop. We've put together most of Stowe. Why do we have to go out to bid if our workforce that we have here is skilled craftsmen that could probably put up a building?
Well, the
Or
thing is
retrofit
a big
building
part of that
do
budget is bringing in up the water
Yeah.
and then putting in the septic system. And that
I'm talking about the
trailer
building.
it's not rehabilitatable. Have you
No,
seen
I'm
it?
not saying, I'm not even saying rehabilitate the trailer. I'm saying those guys are skilled. I mean,
Yeah.
Do we have to go out to bid for something like that? If
The
those
thing
are
is, we
things
have,
can do
yes,
in-house?
because they have to bid against the other people who bid. Like, even when they do some of the stuff, like when we did the high school, we did a lot of stuff in-house, but a lot of that stuff gets done in addition to what's in our budget for, you know, our general maintenance. So they have to bid against an outside contractor coming in to do this. So they have to know that they have the time, they can do it, they put together a bid package. And if they have the better bid, then they're going to be the ones to do it. And I think they're still doing that. Jeff, is that true?
I'm not sure exactly about how the bid package works. I can get some clarification on that one. Typically, we kind of look at our workload that we have going on with, because it's always maintenance first, maintenance and upkeep. And then if we can have staff available, we kind of go on a project by project basis and kind of weigh it out, talk to the trade to see, what their input is, and then kind of just wait. Is it something, if we can commit and do it, we usually do. If we can't commit to the time frame or or then we say, we'll pass it off or we'll take a part of it. So it's, we try to work in conjunction, especially with like the public schools. We do a lot for them, and they'll give us a heads up, and it's case by case. And time frame's tough, like summertime with fields and stuff, and depending on what's going on with games, it can get very busy very quickly. So, but maintenance always goes first, and I can always ask Mark.
Right, but on the big stuff, Jeff, they have actually put in bids. Charlotte, you have another question?
Nope, that was it.
Okay. Walter?
So I like Charlotte's question, but we still have to have a design. We need to know what to do. And then we probably have to go to planning and zoning to get approvals. So there's steps that have to be
You
done.
gotta go to deep to get approvals as well,
Right.
right, Jeff?
That's
Yeah.
correct.
So then we could say, okay, here's the plan, building to ground. What part of this can you do, if any?
Correct.
Okay.
Does that help, Gina, in understanding that we don't know how much we need right now?
No, I'm fully aware that we really don't know how much we need. I guess my point was we have this money sitting to be able to send it from schematic to out to bid, like you said, but we can't do that until we have more money in the budget to be able to do the work, because we're not going to send it out to bid if we don't have money to do the work.
Well, that's where we have to conscientiously look at that budget. There's a lot of things in there, Gina, that we're not going to spend this year, and you know that.
Listen,
So-
I agree, which is, never mind.
Yeah. It's not easy work to get the money. So, any more comments, questions, concerns?
I have a quick question, if you don't mind me.
Go ahead.
I have a presentation that reflects a revised roofs referendum. It's a PowerPoint. Would the committee like to see this? So I know
Yes.
I know I'm all kind of grappling with the new meeting situations. Usually I throw it up on the screen for everybody, and this is a little different. But I can send that out to everybody, or if it prefers to go through Walter and Deputy Mayor Suzak, however you like, I'll get that out to you guys so we can have some talking points if we want to talk about it for next meeting.
You can just send it to everybody, Jeff. That would be easier, because sometimes
Absolutely.
I don't have availability to my email during the day, and it's just.
Sorry, it's
Makes
just a chain of command thing I'm so used to, but I will give everybody that packet. I have it. I can send it to you right after the meeting. We'll get everybody, so you guys can look at it. We'll have some time. So there's some good talking points when we reconvene.
Okay, yeah, because that would be good they could review it for the July meeting.
Absolutely.
And then we'll have our questions answered on, the bonding, and because those are questions that that has to go in order to even go to referendum. So we have to know those.
So you're going to forward the bonding? Well, I already got it, but the bonding schedule you did earlier, you're going to forward that to everyone also too, right?
He's gonna get some questions answered first, and then he'll forward that with the answers that we had for questions.
Yes, you'll get the PowerPoint of the new revised referendum, and then I'll get the answers from Director Wilcox and send that out to everybody when I get that new one. And then if anything else comes from there, if there's any specific information that we want to try to pull, I think that's kind of like the talking points I'll be looking for next meeting. If we want to know some really interesting cost analysis, that'll give me time to pull it up and do some analytics on the data, so we can have a very strong argument if this does go to referendum. Because I was kind of looking at what JFK did and so like that. There are some really good, powerful, persuasive arguments, but it's very well thought out. And being the first referendum I'd be a part of, I'll do everything I can to help the committee.
Okay, thank you.
Donna, is it going to be on the July agenda or on the June 25th agenda?
That could be on the June 25th agenda.
I misheard.
Jeff, you comfortable with that?
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm ready. I've been ready since February. I'm ready to run.
We've all been ready since February. We just had our wings clipped.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Okay, any more comments, questions, concerns? Can I take a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
you, guys.